never know how to dress for this room.
I know. It's always
Bring a blanket.
process.
Did it used to be hot?
Yeah, sometimes it's really hot.
I sit under a blanket with my space heater on at work all day. So, I mean, it was 90 degrees outside today, but I enjoy getting out of work. So I can sit in my nice Then I'm going to welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Berkley Planning Commission. Today is Tuesday, July 27th. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Aaron, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bartis,
Here.
Commissioner Dahlin,
Here.
Commissioner Kempner,
Here.
Commissioner Patterson,
Here.
Commissioner Petrosky,
Here.
Commissioner Richardson,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Stern,
Here.
Chair Kaplan-Lansky.
Here. Next up is approval of the agenda. Any changes or motions to approve?
Motion to approve?
Support?
Aaron, could you call the roll?
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrosky,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bartis,
Yes.
Kaplan-Lansky.
Yes. All right, next we have the minutes from the June 22nd meeting. Any changes to the minutes? Or motions to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Aaron, could you call the roll?
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrosky,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bartis,
Yes.
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kaplan-Lansky.
Yes. Okay, for communications, we had several things, a couple copies of Michigan Planner and Planning and Zoning News. Was there anything else we received via email or anything?
No.
No? Okay, then I will move on to public comment. So this is a hybrid meeting, so things are going to be a little bit different, and I have a lengthy statement to read to talk about how that's going to go. So for those attending the meeting in person, we would ask you to please step to the podium to state your name and place of residence prior to stating your comments. And I would note that you have 3 minutes to speak. This would go for all those speaking tonight. The Planning Commission will not engage you in any discussion as a reminder. For those attending virtually, participants in the webcast can utilize the raise your hand function via Zoom by selecting Manage Participants on the bottom of your dashboard, then select the More button in the bottom right-hand corner. Our moderator will call your name aloud and unmute you so that you can speak. For those that have called in, you can be placed in the queue for public comment by selecting *9. Our moderator will announce the last 4 digits of your phone number for recognition and unmute you so that you can speak. Again, you will have 3 minutes to speak, and once your 3 minutes are up, you will be muted by the moderators. Additionally, we will read comments that were emailed to planning@berkleymich.net prior to 5 p.m. Given the circumstances with the virtual space, we may not be able to read through all of the email comments, but know that we will have them stored and acknowledged on the public record. I would also like to ask anyone who would like to comment on any discussion items, so we have one discussion item this evening, to please comment now during the public comment portion of the meeting. So at this time, we will review public comments, first with those in person. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to make a comment on the discussion item or any item unrelated to the public hearings? No? Okay. Then we will move on to email correspondence. Aaron, have we received any email correspondence?
No, I have not.
Last, then, those attending virtually. Dan, is there anyone who wants to speak virtually?
There is nobody currently wishing to speak.
Okay. Then I will close public comment, and we will move on to our first public hearing, which is a public hearing related to an amendment to Section 138-32 and 138-417. Aaron, could you give us the staff report, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'd like to reference my June 15th, 2021 memo related to business uses in the downtown district. This is returning to you this evening for the purposes of a public hearing. We've had a lot of discussion about expanding the uses in the downtown district to allow entertainment establishments. I have included the memo that we have been reviewing the past couple of months, as well as the proposed amendments to section 138-32, specific to definitions. This will define an entertainment establishment and what would be constituted and permitted under that category, as well as denoting it included under section 138-417, entertainment establishments under the principal permitted uses. Now, this includes anything that's enclosed within, entirely enclosed within a building, and not including outdoor sales, service, or activities area, which are still subject to special land use requirement of the zoning ordinance. This has been discussed several times, and at the last month's meeting, the Planning Commission set the public hearing. It's been published in the newspaper per our ordinance and has been loaded up on the city website. Our interim DDA director, Mike McGinnis, is here this evening. He has been made aware of this this amendment. However, he's only been on board for a couple of weeks. Jennifer Finney, the former DDA director, and I worked on this carefully, and she and the DDA board were in support of this. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so following the procedure announced during public comment, I will move through the opportunities for individuals to speak. We'd ask you to state your name and address and remind you that you have 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wants to comment on this item in person? Is there any email correspondence that we've received?
I have not, no.
And Dan, is there anyone attending virtually who wants to comment on this item?
There is not.
Okay, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the Planning Commission for their consideration. I know we've discussed this one at length, so I don't know if anyone has any changes or is interested in just going right ahead and making a motion to recommend this to the council.
I'll do that. I move to recommend section 138-32, entertainment establishments in downtown to council. Is that good enough?
And 417 too, right? 138, 417.
Oh, yep, and 138-417.
Support?
So we have a motion and a second. Anything else? Aaron, could you call the roll?
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrosky,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bardis,
Yes.
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Kapelansky.
Yes. So we have a second public hearing this evening. This is to amend section 138-192 of the zoning ordinance. Aaron, could you give us the staff report?
Hold on one second. This item is also returning to you this evening from reference my June 15th, 2021 review memo to Planning Commission. This item is brought to you again to clarify the language in the recently adopted ordinance amendment related to projections. As you recall, we looked at this last 2 months ago and just wanted to make one minor change, that the total of all the projections is specific to into a required setback. And that's where the limitation of the 30% of the wall surface. It does not include anything that is projecting within the existing building envelope, but only those things that would be outside of it. So we wanted to make that clarification just to, I know this wasn't part of the original amendment that came before you last time, or when we had previously amended it, but this was brought to our attention once we started receiving some more site plans and saw that this needed to be addressed as well. So at the last month's meeting, the Planning Commission set the public hearing, again following the regulations by state act. This has been published in the newspaper as well as put on the city website. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So this is a public hearing as well, and consistent with the previous versions of public comment. We will move through the options for commenting. Is there anyone who would like to comment on this item in person? Okay. Is there any email correspondence on this item?
No.
And Dan, is there anyone attending virtually who would like to comment on projections?
There is not.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing and turn this over to the Planning Commission, another one that we had an opportunity to discuss originally at length. This is just a cleanup change. As I understand, is there any comments or motions to recommend approval?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in looking at the first paragraph, second sentence, let me read how I think it reads. Such projections that do not have a foundation and shall be above grade at least 12 inches? Is that how the amended language is going to read?
Are you in 192?
What-
Oh, do
where
not have a
and?
foundation.
Where's
Do not have
Sh-
a foundation, shall be above the grade at least 12 inches.
that? Okay, it's not stricken on mine, but I just question whether that's a grammatical sentence. Such projections that do not have a foundation and shall be above grade at least 12 inches. Is that,
I mean, we could take out the such. Projections that do not have a foundation shall be above grade at least 12 inches. Does that sound better?
I
To
think
me.
it's just the word
Yeah.
and.
Yeah, it is.
It's just the word and between foundation and shall.
It's stricken in the actual,
Oh, it is?
yeah, so you can see it here, it's stricken in
Mine
the
stricken.
Oh, okay.
second page of the ordinance, but in the first page that was provided, it's not stricken.
So, do you have any issue with that, Aaron, taking out the first such?
No, it's the
I
and.
think it's the and.
The
And?
Yeah, so the and is stricken in the actual,
So it should
such projections that do not have a foundation
shall be above grade at least 12 inches.
and, where are you finding that one?
It's in,
It's in
it's
this-
after, it's the page after the one that I think you're looking at. So if you scroll down, if you're on the website, you go down to the actual full
Oh.
ordinance, it has the correct version on there.
That was stricken in the previous ordinance that was adopted earlier this year.
Stricken on this version. Stricken.
Okay, all right, well, I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable with that,
Okay.
language then, and I see no need to make a change.
Okay. Any other comments? Or motions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a
Yes.
motion to, I guess we forward this to city council, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, motion forward amended section 138-192 to city council for their consideration and hopefully approval.
Support.
Aaron, could you call the roll?
Petrosky,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bardis,
yes,
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Kapelansky.
Yes. Okay, that takes care of all of our public hearings, so we'll move on to new business. We first have a review and discussion of proposed amendments for the permitted location of exterior appliances. So it continues.
Continues. I'd like to reference my July 21st, 2021 review letter. This is, exterior appliances locations revisited. During our previous conversations related to the exterior appliances ordinance, we determined that air conditioning units were permitted to be in the side yard with screening requirements, while generators would be restricted to the rear yard on residential properties. During our discussion, we maybe didn't look at closely enough, or we deferred to another body to look at special circumstances. And given some things of late, we wanted to begin the conversation to consider regulations for generators on residential properties in the following circumstances, and if we want to include some language of that notion into our ordinance, specific to corner lots, where their side yard is on the corner and their rear yard is ostensibly smaller due to the presence of a garage. Interior parcels where a side yard abuts a rear yard, in which case the generator would be separated from the adjacent residential property by, several feet. Properties that have at least a certain amount of distance from an adjacent property, and that'd be something that we could discuss. So on some of the larger properties that we have here in our city, where the generator would be located 20 feet from the nearest property line, is that something that we would allow them to be in the side yard with some stipulations? And are there other considerations that we would like to consider? So, for your reference, I've attached the exterior appliances ordinance that was adopted by council earlier this year. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have as we move forward into the next steps.
Okay, thanks. So we have several potential scenarios to look at here. I think it makes sense maybe to just go down the line and discuss each one individually. So the first being corner lots. Right now you could have a generator located in the rear yard only. You're asking us to explore side yards facing a side street.
Correct.
Okay.
Wherein, you know, if the property's on a corner lot, and they have a garage that's directly behind them, it doesn't leave a whole lot of space for them to put in a deck or any kind of exterior patio area. So, that'd be something that the planning commission would want to consider across the board.
Okay, so corner lots. What are everyone's thoughts on generators located facing a street on a corner lot in the side yard?
I think it's okay if there's screening around it. If you think about it, if it's a generator on a corner lot, it's going to actually be further from the next residence than if it was in the backyard, because you're just facing a street.
That seems to, yeah, I would agree. I think that's a fair point.
I mean,
I tend
So-
to agree with that too. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So instead of just saying corner lots, we're gonna permit it on the side facing the side street.
Correct.
So it doesn't say that here.
No, this was just to open up conversation.
That's fine, that's fine. But that'll ultimately,
When this
Otherwise-
comes
Go ahead.
back before you, we'll have some language that we can then digest a little bit more.
otherwise it fits right into the categories we already have. Okay.
Okay, does anyone object to that then? No? So that was pretty easy. Go to the next one then. Interior parcels where a side yard abuts a rear yard. So I'm trying to think of how this fits together.
It's where you have two different directions of streets.
I'm just having a hard time picturing it.
Yeah,
me
it's
too.
like
Took
if
me a
you go
while,
like
but then I found one on my street.
Okay.
it's very common like on Mortensen.
Uh-huh.
Any of the houses that are on the perpendicular streets that hit Mortensen, the first house is always going to have its side yard on the back side of the Mortensen houses. So
I
it's
see
when the
what you're
houses
saying.
change
Yeah.
directions from yeah.
Okay.
And
Got it.
generally there's I mean that's it.
So in that case, putting the generator in the rear yard. So are we considering in this situation, so the interior parcel, so putting the generator in the rear yard of the interior parcel, is that similar, I guess we're saying, than putting the generator in the side yard because the rear yard of the other parcel is abutting? What do people think on this one?
Well, that's a corner lot situation, right?
But we're talking about the first
No.
parcel
No,
in.
Definitely
first
not.
parcel in.
Yeah, can you
So-
hold that up, Erin?
Yeah, sorry. Here's the road, here's a road. So the house here faces this way,
Yeah.
and this house faces this way.
Yeah,
So
it's
if
a
this
corner-
property wanted to put, no, this one here.
Okay,
So it would be considered an interior lot. So they wanted to put one here, whereas the rear part of the house is way far back here. I'm a really good artist.
don't we already cover that with our, if you go back to 138-73, item 2, you know, we say must be at least 12 feet from adjacent dwelling. Don't we already kind of cover it with that distance?
Those are for air conditioning units.
Okay.
Power
well,
generators on a residential
well-
property are exclusively restricted to the rear yard
Okay,
and must be 6 feet from a property line.
okay.
So if we were to consider this, we could put the 12 feet into there too. We could
Yeah.
plug that same provision in.
That's how I skipped the
Yeah.
air conditioning words. Yeah, that makes sense. Instead of trying to go through all these gyrations of the different situations, which we do all the time,
Yep.
let's just I would think we put those same dimensional restrictions on them.
So you want to say generators can be permitted in the side yard provided ABC. Is that what you're saying, Marty?
Well, I think that's the right step. I don't know what ABC is, because,
The same ABC they have under
yeah,
the,
Well, Okay,
ahead,
so my
Denise.
issue, I spent a couple hours today on Home Depot because I can look at installation instructions for all of the different generators they had. They had 4 different companies, so I looked at those. The smallest generator I could find width-wise was like 24 inches-ish, right? 18 inches from the building, 24 inches, and they all pretty much say 5 feet from anything combustible. So you have to figure 5 feet from the lot line. So you're looking at needing at least like an 8.5 side yard setback in order to put a generator in the side yard, in order to meet the specifications. Now, some of them want it 3 feet from the building, so now you're looking at an even bigger one. I don't know how much we want to put on the building department to have to look up each spec for each different one.
Well, I think that would be an applicant's responsibility to turn in the manufacturer's specifications with their permit request. I would think, is that what you guys would do?
Yeah, so we have our stipulations within our ordinance that they would have to follow, but then it is up to them as the installer, the company who's doing it, to meet the manufacturer's specifications, yes. And they provide those to us as well.
So with what you're describing, Lisa, then are you saying that the 12 feet is or is not enough?
I mean, I think from a house, right, there's all, it has to be 5 feet from any opening of any sort, right? Not under any overhang, right, because you're looking at a fire issue and you're looking at carbon monoxide issue. And so I think that 12 feet's enough, but I think if we're looking at some of the, things that we have for air conditioning units, that wouldn't apply. We'd have to have different standards for the generator, because 18 inches from the side property line isn't enough.
Oh, the unit must be at 18 inches from the side property line. Got it.
So for us, it would probably have to be at least 5. Although, after I looked at that, I looked at a lot of just random electrician sites and all of that. And, between 5 feet and 10 feet seems to be the norm for cities to demand between the side property line and the generator.
So if a unit can't be within so many feet of combustible material, that would take out, I would think, some types of fencing and landscaping.
That's what I was thinking too.
And now that you mention it, most of the generators I've seen around town don't have anything near them.
Right.
It's true.
So the original question was whether or not we should allow generators in interior parcels where a side yard abuts a rear yard in the side yard. So based on what Lisa said, are we interested in allowing generators in the side yard subject to a number of conditions in every circumstance? Because that's kind of what you were getting at, Marty, right? And that kind of makes all of these other discussion points moot.
Exactly. Are we saying 12 feet from a neighbor, well, with the air conditioner, since I skipped that part.
Yeah.
We're saying 12 feet from adjacent dwelling, so that covers us. Originally this came to us because of the small lots. And we talked for months and months, if not years and years, about can we fit them on a side lot of a small lot? We can't. And then this came back again because of the turmoil in ZBA. Is that why we're asked to?
Yes.
Okay. So if we include dimensional issues here, like we have for air conditioning, I think all those other things go away. Whether it's a corner lot, adjacent lot, side lot, doesn't matter. We're saying it has to be so far away from the adjacent dwelling.
Yeah.
Well, and from a side yard, or from,
Well, yeah, from the property
line.
line. Yeah, we're pretty generous along 18 inches from the property line, but that was the air conditioning.
Right.
But we're trying to allow all this to fit in our small lots.
You can put a garage 3 feet from the property line, right?
That's right.
So that's only 4.5 feet theoretically, if you use the 18 inches.
But a
So-
garage doesn't or shouldn't have an exhaust system coming out the side. So
Flammable though,
it is, but it's not a,
and a fence, a wooden fence.
it is. So, but they're worried in the as Ms. Kempner was saying, they're worried about flammable objects, flammable materials near the generator, because it's an engine. It has a muffler, has a spark arrestor, hopefully, and but it does get hot, and you don't want anything too close to it. Garages are close to a property line, but they don't usually spew out sparks. So, if that was your comment.
You can do all kinds of things in a garage, and you can have all
we
kinds
do.
of junk piled up
Absolutely.
outside the garage. I mean,
Right,
you know, I mean,
right.
it's kind of inherently
Right.
problematic, I think.
So what would we do then about the screening? I mean, I suppose you could have screening that's not flammable. Theoretically. A metal shield or something, but that's almost more obtrusive
I
than,
mean, our screening would have to be the same
I've seen
distance
glass.
away.
I have seen glass. People have used glass before.
I've seen metal fencing.
what did you say, Lisa?
Or
Sorry.
it could be the same distance away, you know, your screening could be at the front of the house, you know, or something.
So you could say something like screened from the road and adjacent properties, and if the screening is the fence you have on the other side of your yard, then that's the screening.
Sure.
That'd be fine.
You know, it's no different than the air conditioner unit, but it does have a greater separation distance.
And they are noisier than the air conditioning unit though, too. So some screening
Right, so,
would help.
you know, effectively in most lots, it pushes them out of the side yard.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
In a lot of lots, it would. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd be interested to know, in light of the recent ZBA decisions, how our city attorney would feel if we were to craft something similar to air conditioning units.
If I could just follow up on that, Aaron, is there anything about that litigation? I think it was settled, right?
As it was.
Probably has no binding effect, but is there anything about that litigation that we should know to help us craft regulations which would avoid problems like that?
Well, this is in this case, it was a situation where it was an interior parcel where the side yard abutted a rear, and so they wanted to put the the generator in the side yard. So that's one of the considerations here for us to look at.
Okay, and where is that generator finally going to be located?
It's going to be located in the side yard.
Yeah, but I mean, how far from the property line? Do you know the dimensions and?
Not off the top of my head, but
Okay.
it's like 30 some odd feet from the back of the adjacent dwelling.
Okay.
So I guess that's my first question, is if we were to craft something like that, you know, do we still have some concerns that we need to address? Because Marty's right, we would be eliminating a lot of side yards with the 12 feet requirement.
They're eliminated with the air
Well, we
conditioner too.
eliminate with the
Yeah,
air conditioner.
I
that's-
mean, it's the same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
And
guess,
then they're a little larger, they're a little noisier, but they're a lot more combustible. I mean, a lot more prone to combusting surfaces and materials around them. So I think if we had similar language, we may adjust the dimensions. But as far as clearance, you know, I don't want to say it's 5 feet and find out that
yeah,
one manufacturer needs 6 feet.
right.
It must comply with manufacturer's clearances, but not less than 5 feet, or pick a number.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, we're already pushing air conditioners. I
Yep.
mean, we went through all kinds of gyrations to get
Yeah, I don't
AC units in the side yard. This is a bigger, badder appliance. A lot more things can go wrong.
And does adjacent dwelling just mean a house, or can it also mean a garage or a shed?
I think it means a house.
Dwelling unit is a house.
Yeah. So maybe something to the effect of any kind of structure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I
The
think
garage
so.
is just as combustible, I'm sorry, garage
Yeah,
is just
it
as
is
combustible as a home.
combustible. Maybe even more so, depending on what
Yeah.
you're doing in there, you know?
Yeah.
Like gallons of gasoline you got in there,
Propane.
or propane, yeah.
So does that give you enough to go on if we just change it kind of totally instead of case by case?
I'll discuss that with the city attorney. I'll draft up some language and bring that back to you next month, and we can look at it a little bit closer.
And then if that, you know, if there's issues with that, we can certainly take each of these items, you know, one by one too.
Mhm.
All right, does anyone have anything else on generators in the side yard? Okay, next up are elections for chair, vice chair, and secretary of the planning commission. Any nominations for elections? Start with chair and work our way down.
So you want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm happy to continue if you guys are
Kristen,
fine
you're
with
doing
that.
a wonderful job.
So I nominate Chair Kristen Kaplansky for chair for the upcoming term.
Thanks, Mark.
I support that.
Do you want motions on each individual item?
Yeah.
Could you call the roll then, Aaron?
Yes. Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bardis,
Yes.
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kepner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrowski,
Yes.
Kaplansky.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Next up, we have vice chair. I think Marty's done a great job with that. I will nominate
duties.
him to continue if he's willing.
Yeah, I'm willing.
I'll support.
Oh,
Any other nominations?
I nominate Martin Smith for vice chair for the upcoming term.
Thank you, I think.
Did we have a second?
No, I'll support.
Okay.
Could you call that roll, please, Aaron?
Yes. Smith,
Do I vote on myself?
Yes.
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bardis,
Yes.
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrowski,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Kaplansky.
Yes. All right, next up, we have secretary. I think Mark's done a good job filling in as our secretary.
I have never had a complaint.
Well, then I'll nominate Mark as secretary.
Support.
Any other nominations? Aaron, could you call the roll?
Stern,
Yes.
Bardis,
Yes.
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrowski,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kaplansky.
Yes. Now we have a number of appointments to boards and commissions. So first up is city council. I think traditionally the chair's always filled that role. I watch and look at the meeting minutes, but I don't usually attend unless we have something of consequence on there. Is that required that the chair fill that role?
It's not required.
So I would be happy to attend when needed. If anyone else wants to do that though and feels compelled to want to attend the city council meetings. Anyone? Otherwise, I can still keep an eye on it.
Let me ask you, does everybody watch those?
I do.
It's a good idea to watch them.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it concerns us
Yeah.
or not, it's just a
Yeah.
good idea to watch them.
Okay, I'm happy to continue to attend that one as needed and keep an eye on things. If nobody else wants that. Do you need motions on these, Aaron?
We can do all these at once.
Okay. Downtown Development Authority, Matt Trotto was previously on that one. That meets at an odd time for people who have a regular scheduled work day.
Yeah.
So,
I can do that. I found myself on the marketing and promotions committee,
okay.
so might as well.
That would be great, Lisa. Thank you for volunteering.
That's great.
Is there anyone else that wants to do that one? I just have to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Lisa for Downtown Development Authority. Chamber of Commerce, the second Wednesday of the month at 5:30. Who wants to do that one? Anyone?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Of course.
Anyone else? No? And then Environmental Advisory Committee, Mark, I think you've done a great job with that. I don't know if you're interested in continuing.
Since I'm the chair
Yeah.
of the committee, maybe I could do a twofer on
Already
that
there.
one.
Thanks. Okay, so that's everyone. Does anyone want to make a motion on those?
We used to, if I may,
Yeah.
we used to have a liaison to the ZBA. Is that, and
That's
it,
right.
it is typically a planning commission member / ZBA member did both.
Did
So-
the ZBA, were they voting members on both bodies?
For a while.
For a while, hasn't been, since Mr. Dean Smith left, he was, and previous to that, we always had a member, but you'd have to be elected or nominated to the ZBA. But we've always had a liaison. Has that gone away, or?
I know Dean Smith was, and I don't know why that stopped or when that
Anybody
stopped.
was willing to fill it, so it just kind of
Dropped off?
dropped
It's
off.
one job that's a little more thankless than this, so, yeah. It kind of dropped away. Because in my long tenure here, we've always had someone until Dean Smith left. And that's been 3 or 4 years.
That's been a while, yeah.
They still meet Monday nights.
The second Monday of the month.
Right.
So that rules me out. I can't do Monday nights.
So I'm just asking.
Yeah, that would rule me out too. I have work meetings Monday, second and fourth Mondays.
I mean, again, there's one that everybody should watch. And I'm not offering, but,
Or are you offering to watch?
well, I'll watch, but I'm not offering to be the liaison. Maybe in the last 3 or 4 years, we get enough out of it if we just watch.
Yeah.
Make a commitment to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't
can
know what
look into
happened
it.
to that position. you know.
That I couldn't
It's
tell
been
you.
pushed.
It was before my time, but
Yeah.
I can look into it.
Okay. Are we required to have a liaison? Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Okay.
No,
I think
but I can
it's
look into it.
optional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it? Okay.
We don't have any liaisons for this, do we?
Ross Gavin, is
He's
he,
the
Oh,
council
that's right,
liaison.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ross, yeah.
but
Yeah,
he,
he was always on the virtual meetings.
Yeah.
yeah, he usually just is kind of observing.
Yeah,
Right.
he's on the virtual meeting this evening as well.
Hi, Ross.
So he is.
Hi,
less-
good evening, everybody.
Okay, so you'll check on the ZBA, and if anyone wants to fill that role, we can maybe revisit it at a future time. For now, we have, who wants to make a motion for the appointments for, I guess I can make the motion, right?
I'm sorry?
I can make the motion, right?
As the chair, no.
No?
I'll make a motion for the
Okay.
appointments.
Support?
Aaron, could you call the roll?
Bardis,
Yes.
Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrosky,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Kapelansky.
Yes. All right, speaking of committees, liaison reports. Who has anything to report this evening?
I
Go ahead,
can
Mark.
do a brief report. Environmental Committee did meet this month, our first face-to-face meeting since last March. It was mostly a get reacquainted meeting. We do have some new members. It looks as if we're going to do tentatively, we're going to do a bike corral at the upcoming Art Bash on September 11th this year. We also discussed a draft resolution for the City Council pertaining to climate change and environmental sustainability. And we discussed sustainability planning for the community of Berkley on a long-term basis. It was just kind of a exchange of ideas. No decisions were reached. So beginning in September, we're going to resume meeting on a monthly basis rather than a bi-monthly basis.
Great. I don't think anyone has anything else, I'm guessing. No? Okay, so commissioner and staff comments. Aaron, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to let everyone know that at the July 19th meeting, the City Council approved the distribution of the master plan to the public and to adjacent communities, public utility companies, and reviewing agencies. So that has gone out. In addition to being on the city website, we have also put up comment boxes at a number of the city facilities. There's one here in City Hall. There are 2 boxes at the library. There's 2 at Parks and Rec and at the Senior Center, at the DPW, at DPS. So the hard copy is there and it's available for anyone who wants to linger and peruse, but the whole document is available on the website to look at. And so any comments should be received to the city either by mail or drop off, or you can email comments to masterplan@berkleymish.net, and that will be up until September 23rd.
Can you remind us what the procedure is after that?
After that, all of the public comments will be reviewed and discussed and will be brought back to the Planning Commission to determine if we want to look at things a little bit more carefully in this capacity or not, and to take any comments that we might want to reflect in the plan. After that, the Planning Commission will set a public hearing. We'll have the public hearing at a public meeting, and then you'll make a recommendation to City Council, and City Council will then adopt.
Great.
Are we getting any feedback so far? Like,
We've gotten a couple of comments, yes. A couple of questions, a lot of positive response, but we have gotten some questions.
Okay, thanks. Joe, anything to add for the evening?
Nope.
Dan?
Nope.
Julie?
Nope.
Greg?
No.
Nothing? Lisa? Shiloh?
Nothing.
Mark
All
or
set.
Marty?
I have a few.
Okay.
We were, I guess, middle of last week, visited one of the Oak Park new eateries.
Yeah.
Has anybody been to those?
Yeah.
Yes, they're great.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
so good.
amazing
Yeah.
what a little commerce can do. There's people all over the place. Now, they have parking, and that's one of our big issues. They have a huge parking lot. Only been to one. 2 are open. I think there's a third one opening on that strip.
I think so, yeah.
There's going to be 4, actually.
Are there going to be 4?
Yeah, because there's going to be a coffee house, too. Like, inside one of the places, they're opening, like, a coffee shop.
Oh,
so
excellent.
2 breweries, a restaurant, and a
So you
coffee
can hang
shop.
out all day.
Yeah.
It was fine. They're short staffed like everybody else,
Yeah.
but there were people everywhere. We were looking out the window at the Berkley side. It's pretty dead on
Yeah,
the Berkley
I
side.
know.
So I just want to add that. It's amazing what a little commerce can do in a concentrated, and maybe some of that over time can spill over, and we can do something on 11 Mile. Also, a couple questions. What's going on with the Citizens Bank? Is that the bank site on Woodward? The Citizens Bank? It's roped off, it seems like.
It's roped off?
Well, maybe not, but it seemed like they're closed, right?
Yes, they are
Yeah,
closed.
okay.
We have gotten some inquiries from a potential developer about some ideas that they've had. Nothing that's gone beyond a, hey, what about this kind of idea? But it's been a moving target. It could be a restaurant, it could be this, it could be that. So there hasn't been anything of substantial to come
Okay.
forward yet.
And next door to that, to the south, on Eaton Street, a couple houses have been knocked down.
Mm-hmm, yep.
So are they proceeding?
Yes, they are.
Working?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I have calls into their team to try to figure out when they're going to be ready to bring those parking lot designs before this body.
That was my next question.
Yes.
That will be coming before us.
Yes.
Okay. And maybe this is for Mr. Gavin. Has anybody in the city council talked to ZBA yet about their reversal of their decision? Because people I've talked to are totally in the dark. And like we brought up here, if there's a mistake, including us, we'd all like to know what's going on. Is he there?
Yes, thanks, Marty. Yeah, absolutely. I know there's discussions that are going on between members of the ZBA and administration, and so yes, that is something that is there's definitely discussions happening for sure.
Okay, do they know what they did wrong yet? The ZBA members?
What's that, Marty? Sorry, you.
Do the ZBA members know what they did wrong yet? Because it's not a light
Well-
thing to be turned over, a ZBA decision to be turned over. So in
Yeah,
your, in
absolutely. No,
the eyes, do they know what they did wrong yet?
Yes, the conversations have absolutely been happening for sure, and so between administration, but also between council representatives as well. So yes.
Okay, will we all be informed at some time? Please?
What's that, Marty?
I said, I'm sorry. Will we all be informed as what transpired there? And I continue with a please.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is any representative of council or administration will have any issue kind of sharing kind of what their thought process was throughout this whole process.
Okay. Thank you, Ross.
Thanks, Marty.
May I?
Yes, Mr. Richardson.
Sorry. Any update on the La Salette property?
They're moving forward. They're doing some internal demolition stuff right now, just looking at the interior of the building and how they're moving forward. I have been speaking with the development team. They are modifying, and they're going to be coming back before this body probably in September, they're talking about. They wanted to modify their parking requirements. As you remember, there was about 6 or 7 spaces that were taking up some of the green space along Coolidge, and so now with the parking modification ordinance that was passed last year, they want to take advantage of that. So that
Absolutely.
is something that they'll
Good
be
news.
looking to
Absolutely.
come
That's
back.
Great
Mhm.
news.
We also have been talking to them about phase 2, but that's nowhere near ready to come before this body.
We'd like to see phase 1 go.
I was
What's hap-
happy to see Aquatot's spot is now fenced off.
Yep.
so-
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
what's-
going to be my question too.
No, okay.
Yep. So we had our pre-construction meeting with them today, as a matter of fact. So we have issued their demo permit. We're about ready to issue their building permit. So they're expected to start construction and demolition in the next week or so.
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Or motions to adjourn?
So moved.
Support?
Thanks, Lisa. Aaron, could you call the roll?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Dahlin,
Yes.
Kempner,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Petrosky,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stern,
Yes.
Bardis,
Yes.
Kapelansky.
Yes. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.
It is good.